Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, along with the California Department of Public Health. If you're watching us on air, here is what they put out. Places of worship must, keyword there, must therefore discontinue singing and chanting activities and limit indoor attendance to 25% of building capacity or a maximum of 100 attendees.
Do you think they're going to prohibit singing and chanting in protests that are taking place throughout the country? I think the answer is no, they're not going to do that. So here you have the question of constitutionality. Is it constitutional to ban singing and chanting even when exercising the restraints that you put in place to prevent the spread of the virus? And the answer to that is it has to be unconstitutional. And friends, we're going to find out.
Must is a legal word. It is an important word. It is not a recommendation. It is not something to consider. Must, it is, you must stop at the stop sign. It's not a consideration. It is, you must do this. You must pull over if there's a police behind you and you are speeding. You know, that's a must situation. So we have must situations, and then we have government recommendations. Those are different things. You cannot have it both ways.
We were very encouraging of places of worship to follow the guidance of governments. But look, it's got to be applied equally. This is not only mandatory, Jordan, it's also not equally applied to people of faith and people without faith.
What happens if you don't? You know, Dad, what happens if you don't stop? Are they going to start sending in the SWAT teams to close down churches?
Can you imagine having a court issue an injunction to the Greek Orthodox metropolis of San Francisco saying you may not practice in your church what you have practiced for 2,000 years? I doubt any U.S. district judge would have the courage to make a statement so contrary to the precepts of history and the practice of the Holy Gospel as to tell you, choke off chanting.
The First Amendment was not designed to protect the government from religion. However, it is designed to protect religious groups and religious people from being interfered with by the government. And this is a flagrant, violation of that. Personally, my view, Jay, is that even restricting worship, making churches cancel or limiting how many people attend, they don't have the constitutional authority to do that either, I don't think. Religious leaders of the various denominations can make this call, and they have. But to dictate the particulars of how people worship when they do gather, to including forbidding singing or chanting, that is the most flagrant and egregious violation of the First Amendment. And, Jay, there is no coronavirus exception to the Constitution.
The coronavirus does not know the difference between a chanting of a hymn and a protest march. And to say that you can sanction one and permit the other is hypocrisy in the worst possible way. To say that that is prohibited while screaming and yelling mobs and violent protests and the pulling down of statues and iconic memorials is not prohibited, this is hypocrisy in the worst degree. And we have got to fight that in the courts and everywhere because we cannot permit it to stand.
We've just launched a brand new petition online at ACLJ.org. I'm reading it right off my phone. And this is a petition. It's very clear. Don't ban singing in church. Can you believe in 2020? Think about that. ACLJ has to launch a petition, and the title of the petition is Don't Ban Singing in Church.
If we let, the camel's nose under the tent regarding they're going to tell you that you can't sing, that you can't chant, it has the potential to lead to the government even being more interfering and more restrictive on people's religious freedoms. And as Andy and I just said, there's no constitutional exception for a virus. And on the one hand, you want to be, careful. The CDC does say that whenever people sing, that they give out more droplets, they express more droplets singing, but that does not give the government the authority to tell people they cannot sing. That is a flagrant violation, when the Constitution says that we cannot prohibit the free exercise of religion.
The freedom of speech and the free exercise of religion, the Supreme Court has held, includes the freedom to worship. That is constitutionally protected speech.